Gentlemen, we are live.
Welcome everybody to our.
Taking over my spot.
Exactly.
I'm gonna mute Glenn unknowingly. He's gonna be like talking. We're not gonna hear it. So we can say, good to see you guys. Welcome to our Success Mastermind for Wednesday, the 26th of August. John Lavenia here with you. Mid-moving and packing and boxes. I won't show you what's on the other side of the camera lens, but actually some of you who got here early got to see what was on the other side of the camera lens. It is just a mountain of boxes. And my desk and recording studio, which I still need to break down, which is a lot of fun. But we are here together as we are each day for more thrills and excitement. Of course, today we're going to have one of my favorite people come out and share some thoughts with everyone. But before we get into that, I need to acknowledge yesterday we had Adventures in Mindset with Stuart Wild, which admittedly I was not able to attend live as I was up to my eyeballs in cardboard. But I hear that there was some very heartfelt stuff shared there. In fact, if you go into our members site, hold on a second, and I will show you what that looks like in case you are brand new here, because we do have some people who have been a little bit, let me put on do not disturb mode here, because naturally people need to ping me as soon as we go live. That's just how that goes. So we do have some people here who are a little bit vague, because they're new members, vague about how to get to our live sessions. So if you're seeing this in a recorded session and you don't know how to get to our live sessions, we do have calendars here under live sessions. And if you click on that, we can see what's on the menu, which, by the way, you can see that was updated. This is recently expanded. So general session we're on now, Life and Business Tools with Adrian Garner, Adventures in Mindset with Stuart Wild. That happened yesterday. If you guys can mind your microphones, because I can't see everybody right now. Let's see. We had Networking Magic with Glenn. That's tonight. Okay. We had that last week as well. Book study on Monday. Brand Builder with Shannon. That's every other Thursday. Kids Corner with Victoria and Sharon. Sharon's coming out tonight. Bring the kids. So that's going to be fun. Global and Tactical Marketing with Mark Riggle. Be Heard. This is on Fridays, just a little open forum. Group Meditation with Nicola Black. We had our first experimental session with that yesterday, and that is now officially on the calendar for Tuesday's e-commerce work group. Group Yoga with Nancy. That is tomorrow morning, early morning for us here on the West Coast of the United States. Late afternoon for our friends in England, and super early morning, middle of the night for our friends in Australia. Metaphors for Success with Wayne Bradford. We got to hear from Wayne yesterday. He's going to be doing a Sunday night show. And then, of course, our hospitality suite, which is always open. Anyway, here's how you get into any of these things. They are on the calendar. Where's the calendar? There's 3 calendars right here. There's also one right here. All you got to do, click on the calendar. What's going on today? I'm in the United States, so I clicked on the American calendar. Right now, we are here, general session with Ego. You just click the Zoom link, and then you are in the meeting. So it is simple as that. Just click on the thing you want to attend. If you want to dial in, there's dial-in numbers and all that stuff too. And so what do we got tonight? 6 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. Life and Business Tools with Adrian Garner. Adrian crushed it last week. Really great insights. This guy's brilliant. Kids Corner with Sharon Atherton tonight. There it is. Separate link for a separate purpose. You'll notice there's a gap in between these times here, right? So we're not running one thing right into another, unless it's the hospitality suite. That's pretty much always open, unless there's actually a session going on. And then Networking Magic with the Magic Man himself, Glenn Henderson. We got a big day today. Big day. Okay. And for some of you, the day's not even going to end until you do yoga with Nancy at 10:30 in the morning tomorrow. So that's what's cooking. But right now, meaning right now in present time, we've got one of my favorite people, another brilliant, insightful person who I've had the pleasure to meet via this forum, and that is Égo Obi over in the UK. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to her. Égo, if you please.
Hi, thanks for that, John. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. It's so good to see you. Such an honor to be a part of this this family, and I'm blown away every day I join. John, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to share my thoughts once again. So it seems like we're all becoming storytellers, and I'm really taking on from Wayne's storytelling yesterday, but nowhere close. But I'd like to start by telling a story about a warrior who had to make a decision on how to ensure his success on the battlefield. So he was about to send his army to fight against a powerful enemy whose men actually outnumbered his own army. So his men sailed to the enemy's country, and upon arrival, they unloaded their equipment. And the warrior actually gave them orders to burn the ships. So the ships they traveled in, they had to burn them. In addressing his men before battle, he told them, you see these ships that are burning, going up in smoke. That means we cannot leave these shores alive unless we win. So you choose to win or to perish. And in the end, they won. So my talk today is around the subject of, or the topic of, winning in adversity. So in this particular story, I mentioned that the crew actually, or the men actually burnt the ships. To win, we have to cut off all sources of retreat, including our limiting beliefs. So, Wayne so powerfully yesterday led a session on limiting beliefs, and I wouldn't even go try and add anything to it. All I'd say is, if you weren't at the presentation yesterday, or you weren't present yesterday, or you haven't watched the replay, I suggest you go and watch it. You'd be blown away. I've actually watched it again, even though I attended the session. So yes, I mean, I know it can be difficult to unlearn limiting behaviors or even shed our limiting beliefs placed on us, either as children or even as adults, as some people mentioned on the call yesterday. But I think it's a choice, though, that we intentionally make to move away from these beliefs. And Kathy actually described that really well yesterday, about moving intentionally from the choice to move intentionally from, some of those beliefs or behaviors that actually hold us back. So where we make that decision, I think it shows courage and strength of character. And only then can we maintain a state of mind that's essential to success. And I would say that that state of mind actually translates to a burning desire, a desire to win, a desire to overcome, a desire to be, a desire to do, a desire to have. We've heard this time and time again, but it has to be some burning desire for us to want to actually do that. We've talked a lot about the Think and Grow Rich book by Napoleon Hill. And he mentions that in the book, he says that if there's no burning desire, then there's no cause for action, right? We talk about cause and effect all the time. If we don't have that burning desire within us, then, there's no need to take action. So coming back to that story, the warrior had a burning desire for victory, which actually then prompted his cause for action, which was to burn the ship. And he had an obsession, which was to actually win the battle. So when we reach that point where we have that the burning desire, which then becomes an obsession, we start to plan ways in which to achieve our success. And then we back up that plan with some of the other characters and all the other things that we've talked about, over the last few months: persistence, consistency, integrity, and all of that. So I would actually go on further to say that we are given moments, like divine moments, to alter our circumstances and or adversity. So the circumstance could be like a really bad situation. It could be an adversity, or it could be something that takes us away from, from our cause. But what we know, and we've talked about many times, is these circumstances or adversity should not define us. We shouldn't allow ourselves to be labeled by our adversity or something that's happened to us. We shouldn't allow others do it, and we shouldn't wear it as a cloak ourselves. So we either alter them by walking into opportunities that present themselves through that adversity, and they are opportunities, or we stay the same. It's a choice, though, we have to make no matter what. Right. So, as you guys know, we're actually studying the book As a Man Thinketh. In that book, the author actually encourages the reader to harness the power of our thought. So it still comes down to what we think, because as a person thinks, so they are, right? So, and our thoughts actually then shape who we become, right? It becomes our reality, and then that translates into our character. So I then, I'm kind of thinking, I've never really thought, and I don't know about you guys, and we'll talk about that when the floor's open for comments. Have we ever wondered, though, why does adversity have to hijack moving ahead in life? So, if one is diagnosed with a terminal condition, or if you have to do something and the treatment is presented, all the risks are highlighted, right? Associated with that treatment. Why do we as humans always fall on the side of, oh, these are the risks, what if, but what if not? Right? So I was kind of asking myself, why does adversity have to hijack moving ahead in life? And then why do we have to put a glass ceiling over a good thing that can be, right? So, I mentioned earlier that, we can see opportunities in adversity. And I think we can actually be creative in seeking those opportunities in adversity as well. And it builds character, we grow from it, we learn from it. There's a particular preacher I like, a guy called Charles Stanley, and he mentioned, he's probably in his 80s. I think he's in his 80s. He mentioned that, I heard one time anyway, he said that when he first started as a preacher, maybe in the 1940s, or I don't know, he saw a suit in a store that he really wanted so badly, but he couldn't afford it. So he negotiated a payment plan with the store manager. Although this had never been done before, he asked anyway, and he was successful. So he negotiated a plan, and then a payment plan, and then he committed to making monthly payments or maybe weekly payments for a year. So a year later, he'd paid up, and then he collected the suit. He had that burning desire for that suit. He was persistent, and he had integrity and consistency. All of those things were actually at play in this particular scenario. He could have given up. He could have said, oh, it's not that important anyway, and stop paying, right? Then he loses the money. Clearly money was tight, but his better judgment said carry on, and he was a man of integrity. He would have lost money, and then he would have lost the desire as well. So my question then is, what lessons are we learning through our adversity? We all have been through them in one way or the other. Using myself as an example, through adversity of many forms, I've actually learned patience and gratitude, amongst many other things, too many to count. You don't realize we don't realize who we are until we are in a vulnerable place, and you have to be in a position where the little things actually matter, such as a comfortable chemotherapy chair, or the fact that I live in a country where I have access to good healthcare system. So I became more aware of the little things and grateful for that. And then of course there's patience and other things that come. So my mindset or my thought process now is, wherever adversity places us, we can win. We just need to make a choice to adopt a winning mindset, not a victim mindset. Glenn talked about this, not having a victim mindset, but having a victory mindset. So same thing, right? So, but I know that out of adversity, fear can come, and that's a natural reaction. I get that. However, though, that reaction can be turned on its head. Fear kind of holds our mind captive. It's like it has this hold over us, and if we're not careful, we then succumb to it and we get sucked in, right? But it actually, when I thought about the reaction of fear when we get bad news about ourselves or family, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, by Stephen Covey, he highlighted a powerful paradigm of interdependence. Basically, how do we see our problems, right? How do we see them as stumbling blocks, or we see them as a source of irritation and we wish them away? But it turns out that some problem, he mentioned a problem in the book, actually created an opportunity for him to build deeper relationships. So he basically says problems are opportunities. So, like, based on all of that, I would say to myself and to everybody else, today is the day to stop accepting adversity as normal. We're in times, in unprecedented times now, where we hear it said all the time, this is our new normal. The way we have to live, the way we have to interact with people. In the UK, we have to have X number of bubbles. You can't see more than X number of families and all of that. But there's some scenarios or some situations that happen in our lives that we don't necessarily have to take it as normal. Of course, I'm not saying we should take risks or put ourselves at risk or disobey some of the government guidelines around staying safe. But we have to fight back. Something that comes to mind, I think Evie mentioned it yesterday, about the relationship she had with her mom, or her mom's ways. And she got to a point where she says, "Mom, no, I love you very much. However, it's not your way this time," right? So we have to kind of take charge. Don't accept that adversity, that belief, that behavior that holds us back, right? So if we take control of our minds, we then take control of our lives. So something that I found quite profound this morning, Evelyn, you posted something on the JLSM community, and I really love that quote. And some of you may have seen it already on the Facebook community, but I'd like to read that and then just kind of end with that and get your thoughts. So it says, "Good things come to those who believe. Better things come to those who are patient," and I would add persistent there. "And the best things come to those who don't give up." So regardless of what it is, I know that we do have trying times, but we can choose how we react to those trying times. I would end with that, and I would say thanks for listening, and I would love your thoughts and your comments. And the floor is open. Okay, so right. So I'm just going to see who's raised their hands. So Wayne is first. Sorry, I need to put my glasses on. Okay. Right. So Wayne?
Thanks, Ego. Fantastic topic. It's amazing. I really relate to what you're saying about adversity, and it's amazing. These things always, any of these discussions, what I love about here is that so many things just come to mind and make us think and so on. So when I think of adversity, it took me back to story theory. So anybody who's familiar with the concepts of literature knows that if there is no conflict, no adversity, there is no story. So that's a primary fundamental of literature. There must be conflict, and then the protagonist must overcome that conflict in order for the story to be successful. And I mean, there's different. I'm not going to get into the theory of literature and the orchestrations of storytelling, but you need to have a reason to move. And I think the fundamental of that, and I'll go back to science again, is based in physics. When two things are at equilibrium, there is no movement. But when there is an unequal situation, an adversity, something is different, then there's a flow, there's a movement. So you take something that is static and you add energy to it, makes it kinetic, and kinetic is about movement, it's about potential, it's about change. And so, I think what you're saying about adversity, we can use adversity to make us move. If I told you a story, John got up this morning, John sat on his couch, John had his breakfast, John went to work, and John came home, and John went to bed. It's kind of static. But if we start telling the story about John moving and trying to run a business all at the same time, and how he was able to do some things that it seemed like were almost impossible to overcome, then that story gets more exciting and it gets amazing because there's movement, there's potential being realized. And so I think we look at adversity as opportunity, and we're solving problems. And John's talked about that in the past as well. So anyway, thank you for bringing this up. Thank
you.
Some great thought there.
I actually like, what you said about using adversity to kind of move us forward. And something that just came to mind there was we can use adversity as a springboard, right? So, but thanks for your comments, insightful as always. So we'll move on to Ivier next, but Evelyn's just posted something on the chat, and she says, can everyone be mindful as they speak, be mindful of others that need to speak so we have enough time? So Evelyn, there you go, I've said it. Ivier, sorry, I can't say your name like John does.
Chop, chop, Mamacita has spoken. Ooh, okay, pressure, no pressure. Thanks, Ego. That was really good. I think for me, when I think about adversity, we want to be the right kind of people to thrive in the desired state that we're all striving for, right? So it's all about character at the end of the day. So things like integrity and, your value system and, how authentic you are, et cetera, et cetera. And the only way that, character is formed is, in the times of testing. I mean, that's when a true leader, is pretty much, I guess, seasoned and endorsed. It's all well and good, to behave when everything lines up and, the rainbow is out and the sun's out and, all the factors are just perfectly lined up. But, who are you when, the chips are down, so to speak? So I think at the end of the day, it's not our comfort that should be the focus, it's our character. Because, if we have people who are of high character, then, morally, I think the world will be a better place. And then we talk about wanting to make a spectacle of ourselves, but there's got to be a stage, for you to perform. If you're going to be the central character in that story, there's got to be a stage. And that stage is not going to be, sugar, spice, and all things nice. I mean, sometimes you're going to have to eat your spinach and have a few Brussels sprouts on your plate and, all those things that you probably don't think are good for you, but that's what's going to make you, the who you need to be to perform that role. So, I think about adversity and I go, if it doesn't break me, it's going to make me stronger.
Yeah.
And even if it breaks me, the person who's going to come out of that healing process is always going to be a better, wiser version of the one who went in. And so I always go, bring it on. And there are two words that I use to describe myself in those situations. I say, I've got a can-do attitude and I've got a bounce back ability.
Resilient.
So, you know, I'm not going to stay down. I'm going to bounce back, you know, so you put me down, you throw me on the floor, that bounce is going to kick in and I'm going to bounce right back up, you know. So those are the things I think of when I think of adversity. Yeah. Thanks,
That's
Égo.
awesome. That's awesome, Evie. Always spot on. And I totally agree. Character is key. So the adversity actually builds character, because adversity by nature of its word, the word is negative anyway. So, you know, I love that. And I love the, you know, the two things you mentioned around can do, meaning put me through the fire. I would come out not smelling of smoke, right? So yeah, thanks for that, TPA. So we'll move on to Star and then Colleen.
Hi, hello everybody. Lovely to see all your faces as usual. So yes, adversity. I've had my fair share of adversity to practice with over the last few months. I do have a tendency, particularly with the bigger things. I'm quite an emotional person, and even though I'm a practical, pragmatic project manager, if it's something that affects me, I do tend to react emotionally at first. It takes me a little bit of time to get my bounce back ability, as Ivia was talking about. And sometimes I have a couple of days where I hide under the table, as I said in the chat, until I can turn around and face what it is that I know that I can deal with, really. So one of the things, so what I've been doing today is I've been out on the seafront with, so you all know I'm house hunting at the moment, and I found a really nice house, and the letting agent that I've been speaking to on the phone sounded really nice on the phone. So we ended up chatting. Turns out she's only just recently moved to Brighton, and she's got 2 kids, one a year either side of my kid. So we went and met up on the seafront today. So out of the adversity of house hunting, I've turned it into an opportunity. I've made a lovely new friend, and she already my daughter wants to be over at her house having sleepovers already. And hopefully she's going to wangle it so I can get this nice house. So yeah, that's how I'm. On a good day, you can see the opportunities in front of you. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Oh, thanks a lot, Star. Thank you. And you know, all the best with the house. I hope you get it. Okay, so let's move on to Colleen, and then we have Virginia.
I just love listening to Star. Star makes me smile, honestly, because it's really nice listening to all the experiences from everyone, and especially with hearing, you know, the ups and downs. So I won't be too long either, but when Wayne said, use adversity as an opportunity, that is just like something, we're going to put that on a t-shirt as well. And the experiences, I believe that whenever we were faced with adversity, now I'm looking at it through a different perspective. So perspective is everything. Once you change your perspective and adversity now becomes an opportunity, it is mind-blowing. The situation I have that's still ongoing with my car, I have now started to look at it as an opportunity. And when it happened that day, it became an opportunity for me. I'm like, well, I guess I'm getting a new car, because when they stole the converter, the insurance company went, we're gonna just class it as a total loss. And I was like, really, you're not even gonna try to fix it? And it's like, nope, it doesn't make any sense economically for us to fix your car. And I'm thinking, this should make me annoyed, but I'm like, no, this is gonna be an opportunity to look for a new car. And I had to change my perspective from that situation, which normally would have set me back. It would have changed like my whole mood, my attitude. It would have just been very devastating for me. But I'm like, no, this is not going to happen. I'm now riding with some winners. I'm part of the Avengers. Like a car getting stolen, you can take whatever. It's not going to do anything to me. My perspective is honestly through the roof. every adversity is an opportunity moving forward. And everyone here, anything that you're faced with, any challenges that you have, like what Star's going through. And I mean, sometimes, as Star even said, you know, we take a hit, we want to cry, we want to like hide for 2 days because we're human being after all. But the bounce back's going to be bigger and better. And I'm Star, you're house hunting. I'm looking for a car. So I wish you all the best with your flat or house hunting. I wish everyone the best with whatever challenges they have, but every adversity is now an opportunity. And this group is making me better, stronger. And I'm looking forward to see everything that life has to offer to us.
Awesome, Colleen. I love that. I love that. Perspective really is everything, right? Our mindset, our perspective, our outlook on life. Yes, I know that bad things do happen, but how we choose to deal with them is really what matters the most. It builds character, like Yvier mentioned. We talked about integrity. We come out on the other side stronger, and people look and say, why, you know, why are you so resilient? Why are you so strong? It's because the test through the fire has, you know, the test has turned, in my case, I would say it's turned into a testimony, you know, so it's really, we have to go through to become strong. So thanks for that, Colleen. So we have Virginia next and then Therese. Virginia? I don't see her. Virginia? Can't hear. Okay, should we move to Therese and then we'll come back to Virginia? Therese?
Hi. Hello. How are you? Thank you, Ego. Beautiful. Beautiful topic. Wayne, so beautifully done yesterday, everyone. It's just like the love crowd. And a big, brilliant group of people at the same time. So I just wanted to, I don't want to dig too much into yesterday's kind of stuff, but I shared something that was a part of my life, and everyone leaned in and was very supportive, which is exactly what I expected. And this topic, so much about turning adversity into opportunity, and I would say 100% is true. And I mentioned in our after call yesterday, like I couldn't decide if my experience made me who I am, or if I was born to be who I am, and that experience was is just there, like it's just floating. That's something I think about sometimes. But I mean, I was born an adventurous, curious individual by nature, and despite my situation, I think I was just always searching and always, you know, investigating new things, and my path has just always taken me in different directions. And those directions maybe were tailored as a way to cope with and to move me through some of the challenges I experienced. So for sure, I am here in front of you today, a really powerful individual, and this really like soft, gooey center. And that's me, you know, I'm an artist, I'm an adventurer, I'm, you know, I'm challenging the internal dialogue every day. The 5-second rule is a really wonderful new tool. You know, exercise was always sort of my tool to manage anxiety and fear. And I think, you know, I don't know, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I thought, okay, wow, okay, I've moved through that. Okay, now I get to like coast for a little bit. Now things are going to be okay. But what I really learn about life is if you don't have that constant, like Wayne was saying, that constant, maybe it's friction, or maybe it's like that energy that's in opposition, there's no reason to like rise to the occasion, right? It's like a boiling pot of water, right? It's just water in a pot and there's no action. So, you know, you have to have that, right? So, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if my journey and then my eating disorder, I don't even know if any of that has anything to do with who I am. I just know that it's wonderful to have this group, this safe forum, this intellectual forum, this highly supportive forum, to be able to speak up and allow all of that stuff to continue to empower me and to empower us. So thank you.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Therese. And you're getting a lot of love from your comment, the love crowd. That's a lovely one. That's a new one. That's a new one. So yeah, thanks for that. And I also like the reference to, like the boiling water and the friction. If we don't, we need that friction to fight, right? If we're not faced with it, like Ivie also mentioned earlier, when things are all hunky-dory, we don't really know who we are until we're faced with the fight or the fire. Then you emerge, who you truly are actually emerges. So yeah, thanks for that.
Right. Get the opportunity to come back up, like speak up and engage.
Rise to the top, just like the buttermilk that Esther made earlier. And she was telling us how she makes buttermilk. So she basically boiled the milk and the butter rises to the top from the heat. That's
nice.
it, right?
Nice.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
So anybody else? Virginia, your hand is down. I don't know if there's anybody else. Oh, Koila. Yes, go for it.
Sorry, I forgot to plug in my mic.
Are you there?
Break. They get rather hot. Is that working now?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
My mic on my computer has officially broken now, so I could stand here and or sit here and speak, and you'd not hear a word.
We can hear you.
Yeah. But I just had to plug my my earphones in.
Okay.
So I think that this goes on a bit from what Therese said, in that I really don't think I'd be the person I am now without all the things that I have gone through. I don't know what kind of person I would be, but I certainly wouldn't be the person I am now, and I wouldn't have learned all the things that I have learned along the way without all those difficult things happening to me. So I think really in order to grow, we really do need challenges. And if you don't have challenges, life is really quite boring, actually. I know it's difficult to think of it that way when you're in the middle of something really awful. But it just is true. And to illustrate that fact, my father, who's now sadly passed, my mother died and he married again, and that was fine. But he retired when he was something like 55, and he and his wife moved to Wales, and they really didn't do anything very much. They potted about and they did this and that, and they read the papers. They just didn't really have any purpose in life. And my father's wife.
Oh my God, did I lose anybody?
Quite mentally ill, and eventually she killed herself as a result of that. And you could see this process happening as every time I went and visited them, you could see that things were getting worse. And I think quite a lot of that was because they just had no real purpose in life anymore. And people really, really do need purpose, and they need that movement, and they need challenges. So yeah, that's my little 5 pence worth.
Thank you. Thanks, Koila. Yes, we do need purpose. We need to keep moving, and so many nuggets I'm picking from these sessions. Thank you. Okay, so we'll move on to Sherry Ann, and then we go to Caroline. Hopefully Caroline's done in the bath.
Thank you, Égo, so much. So, Koila, based on what you just said, so in my house, and speaking of challenges and adversity, my internet just said unstable because I have 3 children in my house right now and myself all on Zooms in different parts of my house. because we're doing online schooling at home. So talk about challenges. But we have a whiteboard in the kitchen, and every few days I put up a new quote because we're big on quotes in my house. And the quote that's up there right now is, "What man actually needs is not a tensionless state, but rather the stress of striving and struggling for some goal worthy of him." And that goes right along with what you were saying, Quilla, in the sense of like, we need things that will push us towards something that we feel worthy of achieving. And I'm an endurance athlete. I really torture myself with 100-mile races. And I do them because I see the best and the worst parts of myself in the middle of the night when I'm running, because they take me 24 hours to run. And those types of adversities really have shown me what I'm capable of. And it's nice to have that so that I can transfer that to other areas of my life. And this whole topic is so near and dear to me because I do welcome adversity, because it does make me be a better version of me. And one of my favorite words is allostasis. And a lot of people don't even know what that word means, but they do know what homeostasis means, because so many people seek homeostasis because it's stability for them, where I think that we all should challenge ourselves and seek allostasis, because allostasis is the process which the body responds to stressors in order to seek homeostasis. So if you're constantly seeking allostasis, then you're constantly evolving and changing and becoming better, and not just staying stagnant and comfortable in a homeostatic state. So I challenge you all to embrace allostasis and seek adversity.
I love it. I love it. Embrace allostasis. Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Sherry Ann. We'll go to Caroline and then Mark.
Hi, everyone. Fresh out of the shower, managed to get dressed and make myself presentable. Okay, so what came to me that I wanted to share is, okay, so with adversities. So on our life paths, it seems that, to me anyway, that we often meet a certain kind of adversity and it gets repeated, and we, you know, we'll work on things and we'll think we're growing and we'll be like healing a situation and think, right, I've dealt with that. And then a few years later, it's like, oh, that issue's come back again. And it'd be very easy to think, oh, well, I failed and didn't fully heal or fully understand the situation. But my belief is that when we're learning and growing as we go through life, we're on an upward spiral. So with a spiral, you kind of you come to the same point every time you go round, but every time you meet that point, you're slightly higher. So my feeling is, and I think many people feel the same, it's just something to share, is that we often have the same issues get repeated through our life, but we're meeting them on a slightly higher and a more evolved level. So, you know, that's why they need to keep coming round, so we can peel off all the layers and really completely heal whatever needs to be healed on our life path. So
yeah.
That's my little...
Oh, thanks, Caroline. You know, as you were speaking, it just kind of reminded me of Mark's presentation and the diamond. And I think that's just so apt. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, Mark.
I'll be brief, Égo. Just this whole thing about, first of all, Sherry Ann, wow, I'm saluting you on that one. That's tough stuff. But that's the whole point of all this, is continuing to put pressure and stress on one and moving forward. I think in my past lifetime, and many of us are in the same boat. That's the whole point of why in the realm of leadership, or in those environments, your first responders, anybody who works in environments where there's a requirement, really, if you're going to lead people in particular, you have to lead from the front. You have to be an example to them, and if you can't do that, there's going to be a difficult time, because they may respect the position, but they're not necessarily going to respect you for your capabilities. So that's just, food for thought. But, so every little increment that we take, and from the beginning, since I came in here in March, it's this, I've been saying this many, many times, every step in front of the other is a win. Every movement, every bite of the elephant is a win. So you put that aggregate wins together, and that's what moves you forward. You get these incremental movements, these incremental stressors, and eventually they start to culminate and you move forward. So it's, and the whole kinetic thing, the whole, whole inertia issue that we talk about many times, that Wayne's talked about, that John's talked about. So just keep moving forward, keep putting, remaining uncomfortable, that sort of thing. That's the whole point of this. Don't stop and don't go into, as Sherry Ann mentioned, homeostasis, the allostasis. There's one for you, Star, on a cup right there. Embrace allostasis, man. That's serious stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Mark. Appreciate that. Okay, so we have Toba and we have Glenn. Toba.
Okay. For me, adversity introduces a man to himself. So you can either be better or bitter. So that's a choice you have to make yourself. Mm-hmm. So I remember last year, I had a challenge at workplace. And there are two things I can do. I can either decide to stay the same and be bitter about it, mm-hmm. or I can decide to change. So I decide to make that change. Mm-hmm. Why did I do that? Because of my why. So my why is my rod and staff that put me through that situation. And I know that if I need to fulfill that why, which is strong enough, I just have to change. So that is just a decision that we have to make. So it's a matter of choice, whether you want to stay in there in the adversity or you choose to change and get better. That's all.
Awesome. Awesome. So I love that where you said you be better or be better. That's actually quite profound. And that with the why, I would kind of translate that to the burning desire, right? Anyway, thank you, Toba. We have Glenn, and then we have Virginia. Virginia's back.
Thank you, thank you. Égo, can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay. Love your presentation and what you shared about adversity. Tough times. We should be welcoming tough times, expecting them, looking forward to them, embracing them, getting excited about them. Couple things. I'm reading a book right now called Life is Tremendous. I think I might have mentioned it. Get it. I won't get into it. Just get the book. I'm also a huge fan of movies. As my closest friends know, love quoting most of the wise stuff you've heard me say. I either stole it from a book or a line from a movie. And with this whole thing, I'm actually reminded of, if you've seen one of the most recent Rocky movies, Sylvester Stallone, Rocky Balboa, he's having a conversation with his son. And he says to him, let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place. And I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is going to hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward, how much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. This bringing back any memories. Now, if you know what you're worth, then go out and get what you're worth. But you got to be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers and saying you ain't where you want to be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that. And see, I get so much inspiration from music, first and foremost, from movies, from different sources. And this one, I tell you, fires me up. Watching this, I watched this movie and now I am prepared to go kick the world's ass. You know what I'm saying? So I look forward to, I wasn't always this way. Now I look forward to adversity, look forward to problems, knowing that the greatest victories are on the other side of the biggest struggles. Thanks. Back to you, Égo.
Wow, that's awesome. So you look forward to struggles and adversity, knowing that something better is on the other side. How powerful is that? Thank you. Thanks, Glenn. Okay, Virginia.
Unmute.
Okay.
Hello. So I missed a whole 15 minutes of this. I did see Égo's presentation and I had my hand up and then my phone rang and fortunately I knew who was calling. So I'm going to talk about briefly two things here. Number one, the phone call, and number two, burn the ships. So the phone call was from, I'm a nurse case manager for Home Health Agency. We specialize in providing care to nuclear workers from the Cold War era and uranium miners that have contracted occupational illnesses as they put the US nuclear arms program together, exposure to radiation, exposure to dust, things like that. So this lady who called me that interrupted my session here, I have as a potential new person to come on board tomorrow morning appointment. It takes about 3 or 4 hours. I do like an intense head to toe physical. We go over all kinds of things, benefits that the Department of Energy gets, the Department of Labor. It's like a workers' compensation for people all across the United States who risked their health to build our nuclear weapons, okay? So I feel very honored to be working with these clients. They're wonderful, wonderful people. So the 15-minute phone call went from, I don't need these services, I'm okay now, she's 80 years old, you know, so you don't need to come. To, well, why don't you call me after the first of the year? To, I'll see you tomorrow morning. So it made me feel 15 minutes to do that, but I don't make any money more or less if this lady comes on board. I'm not getting on a bonus, I'm not getting anything, but I really and the value of what she is entitled to. And I wanted her to see what her options were and how the services she might need going forward, you know. So part of it is because I do have a sales background. I can kind of turn people's minds into a direction that they don't know they want to go in, but they need to go in, not used car salesman or anything, but hey, take a look at this and then make a logical decision. So that's why I was gone for 15 minutes, but I still kept my appointment for tomorrow morning. And our clients are wonderful and I love for them to get the benefits that they're entitled to. Is burn the ship. So I had heard that story not that long ago, and I'm glad that you repeated it today. Then I was thinking, wait a minute, burn the ships, burns the ships. There's a contemporary Christian song that came out, and it's by King and Country. And I actually just pulled up the lyrics here because it's a very nice, supportive song. And then it goes into burn the ships. And I couldn't figure out why they were saying burn the ships. So I'm going to put a link in the chat box, but basically it says, how did we get here? We're cast away on a lonely shore. I can see in your eyes, dear, it's hard to take for a moment more. We've got to go. Burn the ships, cut the ties, send a flare into the night, say a prayer, turn the tide, dry your tears and wave goodbye. And just briefly step into a new day. We can rise up from the dust and walk away. We can dance upon the heartache, yay. So light a match, leave the past, burn the ships, and don't you look back. So I'm actually going to put a link. Oh, I got chills. I actually put a link in the chat of that. And yes, when your ships are burned, you got to charge and fight or die. It's an unbelievable motivator.
Yeah.
And as I did miss the 15 minutes, so I'll probably go back and listen to this replay. And I have an 11 o'clock with Shannon Lavenia's branding. It's not, if you took her first class on here, then she says you can go to her website and do a free webinar. So John, I'll be listening to your wife's webinar here in just a few minutes on branding and that. And then I guess she does another one in a couple of weeks on this site. So that's what I wanted to say.
Thanks, thanks a lot, Virginia. So before we go to Gail quickly, the way I see, like burning the ship, sometimes, things happen in our lives, or we have, an adversity, or we're in a comfortable place and we need to move. If we still have ties with that thing, that person, that toxic relationship, or that toxic situation, if we still have ties there, then we get tempted when things don't quite go at the pace we want it to go. we may get tempted to go back. In this case, these guys had no choice. They had to win. There's no way you could say, oh, you know, the other side, there are too many men, I'm running back to the ship. So basically severing all ties with the old self, old man, right? Thank you. Thanks for that, Virginia. And we have Gail.
Hi, I'll just keep it brief too. I had a horrendous childhood, from being kidnapped by my father, put in 2 different orphanages, and a whole bunch of other horrendous things. But I would never change anything, because from each of those situations that I lived through, I've learned lessons and I've become who I am today. And if you ask me, would I want to go back and do it again and change things? No, I wouldn't. I would not be who I am, and I like who I am, and my children like who I am, and most of my friends do too. Well, I'm presuming, but I think when you go through adversity, you take from different things and you learn, and you can apply those things to your life. I'm not going to do things this way because, and you just keep on going. So adversity, it can be a big opportunity. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Gail. Adrian, I've just seen your hand pop up. Adrian. Oh, did you change your mind?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Sorry. Just to say you're speaking tonight, so don't miss it, everybody. 6 o'clock Eastern time.
Turn up your mic, Adrian.
Now we can't hear him at all.
No, can't hear you.
Sorry.
I think. Adrian?
Hang on. Trying to.
Okay.
It.
So whilst he's trying to fix that, for the UK folks, I'm actually thinking of running like a business tools, you know, like tech tools for small businesses. If anyone's interested, could you please, through the email channels, could you let me know topics of interest, time that would work? I was thinking about lunchtime, say like a brown bag session, where we go over, you know, like simple things like, you know, we're talking about cash flow tonight, but productivity tools, project management tools, you know, those sorts of things. So if anyone's interested in the UK time, in the British Standard Time zone, you know how to reach me on the email thread. So Adrian, any better?
Hey, sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, yeah.
Sorry, Zoom sets your microphone sometimes. It reset me. No, it's just to say that you're speaking tonight, Ego. Everyone's got to listen to Ego. We're going to talk about cash flow. We're going to start with the basics, and Ego has agreed to speak, so it's going to be brilliant. So try and be there at 6 o'clock Eastern time if you can be.
Yeah. Okay, thanks a lot, Adrian. So we turn it over to John. Any closing thoughts?
I just want to thank you and acknowledge this group. What a tremendous. I know I praise this group, but for good cause. Thank you for being on this journey with us. All the insights that everyone shares here, including, of course, and especially Ego, with today's presentation. This is great reminders for us to decide who we are and then be that, you know, irrevocably moving forward. So thank you all. We've got a huge calendar today. Wednesday's our biggest day on our calendar. So of course, we'll see everyone on the Life and Business Tools with Ego and Adrian. Of course, the Kids Club with Sharon tonight. Bring the kids, going to be fun. And then Glenn Henderson's going to wrap us up with Networking Magic. Thanks again for being here. I'll see you guys personally. I'll see you back here on our next session. Bye for now.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Bye.